G'day, legends. Welcome to today's Facebook Live here. And I'm absolutely pumped to introduce you to someone who's making an incredible impact in the lives of Australian families. And the one and only Zoe from Learning Booster. Zoe's not just an educator. She's a Heart First founder who's walked the path with her own children and is now helping hundreds of parents unlock their kids' potential through holistic strength-based learning and support. You know, her mission is to boost brilliance, not just test scores, and to bring connection, confidence, and clarity back into the homes across the country. You know, she's about to launch Learning Boosters on Shopley. It was actually already been on Shopley, but we're about to do a big launch party here on Thursday night. And we're going to get into that in a second, and we're going to get behind the scenes look and, you know, why behind the work. So Zoe, take us back to the beginning. You know, what inspired you to start Learning Boosters, and why is this so personal for you?
Thanks, Jeff, and it's nice to be here with you and everybody today. Why is it so personal for me? Because I've lived it. When I was younger, I was the only girl in a family of boys and men, which was very difficult. I was often bullied by them, and it did affect how I felt about myself, my self-esteem, and then how I looked at learning in my own capacity to do so, and didn't really learn how to learn properly until I was probably about 20, 21. So why do I do what I do? Well, because a lot of the kids and families that I've worked with, I actually know where they're coming from because, as I said, I've lived it myself.
Yeah.
So I not only work with wards of the state and kids living with disease, but I also work with mainstream students ADHD, Asper, you name it, basically. And I can genuinely say to them, you're feeling this, you're thinking this, and you want to do this. And they go, how do you know? And I go, because I've been where you are now, and you don't have to stay there. So what I'm looking to do for kids and their families is empower them, make them feel like they are intelligent. Everybody is intelligent. They have just their own thing that they can actually, you know, clue into and are really, really good at. I would say that my learning journey when I was much younger was very, very average. I had learning difficulties myself. I had a really bad lisp, which I've had to work on. So I had that added thing that bullies would pull out and, you know, and hassle me about. So I don't think that actual, you know, the psyche of kids has changed from when I was going through schooling, but the amount of help that kids can get these days is massive. And I want to help as many kids and families as possible to feel better about their learning journey, to feel empowered by their learning journey.
I absolutely love that. And as someone who was severely bullied as a kid in high school, and, you know, to the point where I was actually hospitalized a few times, and, you know, for physical violence and stuff, I basically dropped out of school very early to escape that toxic environment, right? And
that's understandable, Jeff, because what happens when you're under trauma is that the brain just switches off. Those neuron pathways that we use to learn, they're not functioning.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same with adolescent boys. You know, some adolescent boys I've dealt with, they've been standing on the top of buildings. I'm going, what are you doing? And they come down, I get them down and I go, why did you do that? And they go, I don't know. They don't know because their brain shuts down. Because that's the natural trauma flight and fight.
Yeah, so fight and flight response and that stuff. So, but I love learning now. It's taken me a few years. I'm 42, and, you know, it's basically, I didn't really start my real sort of open to learning journey from about the age of 30. You know, I shut right down because of that schooling and all that sort of thing. But now embracing it and now becoming the person that, you know, I need to become, and just being open to learning. I love that that's your focus, but working with kids and getting to that stage, and, you know, not having to, you know, do damage control later on. It's like, let's get it early, and early prevention. And I love that you're positioning yourself as a guide in that journey because you've personally been there and experienced the other side of the conversation.
Yep, absolutely. Yes.
Mm. So you talk a lot about helping families reconnect and boost their confidence on this journey, like just what we're discussing now. What are some of the big challenges you see parents and kids facing right now in today's education world?
I think not only are parents overloaded, not only with work and everything else that we have to do as a parent, I think the pressure these days to do and be and do our to-do list is basically killing us. Let's
Yeah,
be honest.
yeah,
Why do we have to prove who we are through what we do? This is what I say to a
powerful
lot of the
question.
kids. You don't have to do. You just, it's hard to explain it, but let's look at those things that we can look at and deal with those things we can't deal with rather than distracting ourselves. And this day and age, there's too much. I mean, I know, it's a pet love at the moment, isn't it, about screens and things.
Yeah.
But kids are getting disconnected so much. I see little 2 and 3 year olds sitting in their pram with the phone, mum and dad's phone, and they're being wheeled around.
Mm.
I just want to go and say, please don't do that. You're killing your brain, the brain of your child and things. Quite often my husband will have to drag me away. He says, no, don't. It's not your business. And I'm going, but help. And he goes, no, it's not your business. But also schools are getting into screens as well. So it's really killing kids being able to deal with what they have to deal with
Well, with that
and
said, though,
ride the peer and know that they're not on their own to do that. That's the other thing. They've learned not to trust people.
right. So, but
They're
this is
now
the world
learning
that
to
we're
trust the screens.
this is the world that we're facing into, though, right? It's here to stay. Technology is not going anywhere, and we're in
True.
an AI revolution, right? So the challenge now here is especially as educators and tutors and facilitating that growth journey and that learning journey. For me, it's like, how do we embrace the tools that we have to bring out that holistic, learning growth journey that is there to be empowered and equipped, just like what you're doing, right? It's you're empowering and equipping your students to be able to become the best version that they can become. Now,
Yes.
these tools though, like these phones and screens, now, I totally understand, there's too
But there
much.
needs to
It's
be a
everything in
balance there
moderation.
too, Jeff.
Moderation, right? So,
That's my point.
yeah.
Yeah. You can't just stick kids on screens all of the time, because that's why you have
No, and
major behavioural issues and stuff. There's got to be balance there.
right.
And I think because of so much pressure that parents are under, they just stick them in front of a
Well,
screen,
here's the point that I was leading to. It's just like what I teach in the AI space is if you use technology, let's just use that word instead of AI, it's technology at the end of the day. If we use it as a shortcut and a replacement, that is where I reckon we get into the danger zone.
Yes,
If we
I
use
agree.
it as an extension to amplify where we need
Yep.
to be, and it's a partnership and it's a relationship, that is where I'd say, in our little world, it's AI plus your heart equals your superpower. And I'm looking at, what Dave and I are about to run, in a few days with our content marketing mastery program. Now he's all, Dave's all automation, he's all AI, he's all technical. And then I'm all the buy-in psychology and the heart conversation of it all. And it's that partnership together where we're able to facilitate that superpower. And that's what I see that you're doing with your people as well. Zoe, is you're embracing, the tools that you have to be able to help the hero of the story, which is your student, and to be able to help them become the hero. And you're just
Yeah,
guiding.
I quite often say to my students, you're not a machine,
Yeah.
you're a soul. You need connection, you need music, you need sunsets, you need laughter, you need joy, you need sadness,
Hmm.
and you need to feel all the feels and recognize it for what it is. But then we need to move beyond that.
Yeah. So you're
And
giving him tools
a
to
lot of
be able to.
society these days is looking at people as machines.
Yeah.
You know, you have a certain job to fulfill. And then when you leave work and you get home, you've got another job you have to
Yeah.
fulfill.
Yeah.
And there's no release from that. So, you know, life isn't meant to be a cycle of stress and survival. And that's what I see a lot in my students and in their families. It's just stress after stress after stress, and they're in survival mode.
Yeah, so it's chronic stress, though, isn't it? It's chronic stress syndrome
Yes.
almost, and in that
Yeah.
space, it's like our body's just not made up to be in that level of stress chronically all the time, and we need
That's
those
right.
releases. So I totally
Yeah.
understand where you're coming from there. Cool. So talking to some of the challenges in this space, what are some of the tools that you use to help people to reconnect and boost their confidence?
I think big one is that's a fantastic question. I think the big one is that they're normal. The way they are thinking and feeling is normal. But we tend to judge ourselves and look at ourselves opposed to somebody else
Mm,
instead of recognizing I'm thinking this and I'm feeling this. So what
mm,
can I do about it?
it's okay.
And I don't think kids are being taught that type of resilience. There's something wrong with me because they're always looking at images of other things and comparing themselves.
Yeah.
And so then they see themselves as not being to that standard, and therefore they feel less than,
Mm,
and therefore they feel dumb.
yeah.
So I think it's trying to get them to reconnect with themselves, changing that perception of what it is that they perceive themselves to be,
Yeah.
to not so much worry about what other people think they should be or shouldn't be, but how they actually perceive themselves. And I think the way that I do that is through conversation
I'd say
and
it's
through
through
real listening.
connection and relationship, right?
Yeah, because most of the time these days we listen to somebody with the purpose of replying to them. We
Mm,
don't listen to them to really listen to them,
mm,
because sometimes all someone wants is someone to listen to them. They
yeah.
don't want to know what you think. They don't want to know what you think of them or what you think they should do or anything else. They just want you to listen.
Yeah. Go and start an online church and you'll see that right away. It's myself. I've had to really keep myself in check here. It's in a position to seek to understand, not to be understood. And in that
Yeah.
space. But I love what you're talking about here is,
We're a fix-it society these days. So
yes,
people
we are.
go, oh, this is wrong with me. And I go, well, actually, no, there's nothing wrong with
Mm,
you. I hate to tell you this, but you're normal.
yeah.
You're feeling human feelings. And that's why I mentioned the machine bit earlier. We're not machines. We're
No, we're
not going
not.
to have the same reply and the same reaction to the same thing every
Yeah, well,
time.
we can't fit into boxes, right? Putting a square plug into a round hole. But I
No.
love the fact that you highlight that. We're all normal. Right? It's just your expression of normal to my expression of normal is different. And that
There
is
is no
okay.
normal. That's the other thing.
That's the point, right?
There
That's what I'm
is
saying. There is
no normal. I'm sorry. It's a
yeah,
word that just is useless.
yeah. But that's exactly the point that I was leading to is it's just a different expression and it's normal to you and it's not normal to somebody else. It's just exactly right. It creates that word creates an us versus them divide. And that's where I sort of get a little bit hung up on things myself and get fired up about it. Let's just get rid of the words and this cultural context that creates an us versus them. And if we can change our vocabulary to just come into that, we're all walking, talking skin bags full of human emotion. And the objective here of what I can see that you're doing with learning boosters is to get your kids to recognize that and to work into their strengths, whatever that looks like. And you have the uncanny ability, I say, the guide responsibility to help them to discern what their strengths are. Is that right?
Absolutely. And also, a lot of kids these days, their idols are like 20 years, 25 years older than them.
Mm,
And they want to be them
mm,
now. And I go, well, okay, that's a great person to have to be able to emulate.
Yeah.
However, you need to remember they're 20, 25 years older than you. They've been through a lot already. They've had a whole lot of life lessons. And you're not them. You're you. You're
Yeah.
your unique you. So therefore we have to find your unique you and admire and you need to learn how to admire what it is in you that you
Yeah.
like,
I love that.
and not comparing ourselves to other people all
Yeah,
the
the
time.
curse of comparison. But it's, yeah, success does leave clues, but it's not to go and, be exactly like that other person. It's to work out,
Yeah,
what those success clues have got for you to be then go and create your own expression of that. And that, look, I
exactly.
basically describing my own journey for the last 15 years. Like, I know I'm an adult, not a child, but it's still the same style of learning, right? We don't stop learning.
Oh,
And
no, no,
the
no.
fact that you're teaching kids with these tools now to identify these things now, I think is absolutely brilliant. I really do.
I think it's also what I try and do is help kids to learn how to relax.
Mm,
So how to switch off that instant dopamine fix that they need these days
yeah.
and be able to just sit with themselves and not have a distraction. So I do have actual, tools that I give the kids to use.
Yeah.
And when kids apply themselves to these things, you see an instant change.
Mm,
When they're resistant a little bit, then I change what it is I do a little bit to try and help them to find that place where they can accept who they are and be able to sit with themselves without that instant,
love
dopamine
that.
fix of watching stuff and playing games and things like that all
Yeah.
the time.
So, Zoe, you have engaged my team and I to be able to help you to expand this vision, to not just be you, but to grab other facilitators around the country and the globe to be able to, facilitate this conversation. Let's say, we achieve all those boxes, we achieve all the goals and the milestones that we're setting out to achieve. What does the future look like for you? What's the next 5 years look like? And how would you love to see that unfold?
Oh, wow. Um, how would I like? Well, I'd like to replicate myself.
Yeah.
If I could be that egotistical, I would like to get more of what it is that I'm doing and have other people replicate that,
Yeah.
and help them on their journey of helping more students. Because at the moment, there's only me. So, I have 15 students a week.
Right. So,
That's my perimeter at this stage. So what I'd actually like to do is to help younger people, not necessarily younger, but even retired teachers that, they've got out of the system and they want to do their own thing and they want to, I want to help them in their journeys as well.
mm,
So basically changing the face of how we learn,
mm,
changing the face of the system, if you like. I want
yeah.
to be a bit of a system interrupter
Disruptor.
because the current system is failing.
Yeah, it
Let's be
is.
honest.
Yeah, it's it's
Um,
it's it's built for factory workers.
yes, exactly,
So
exactly. And it's like 200 odd years old. And
it hasn't
yes, there
evolved in
have
time.
been some adaptations and all the rest of it, but the schoolroom setting of getting kids sitting behind desks and keeping still and stuff
Yeah.
doesn't work, and it's not going to work with these kids that are coming through that are a lot more
Well,
aware.
it's especially not going to work with the AI revolution coming through, where medium jobs are going to be taken away.
Yeah.
And so like we're setting the this future generation up. If we don't change the education system up, we are setting them up for failure. And
Yeah.
I really believe that we need more facilitators like you out there in the community who are meeting the kids where they're at in today's world and setting them up for the future by helping them to, what I see essentially as personal development and, growth leadership sort of qualities that you're teaching them at a very young age. We're doing the same things with our three boys. And, like the fact that people come up to us, a parent come up to us the other day and says, wow, your 14-year-old son, 13-year-old son, sorry, he communicates like a 40-year-old.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
well, that's fascinating, isn't it?
Because that's actually normal, isn't it, really, to be
Right.
able to communicate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's had
Yeah.
that freedom to grow in that space, and mum and dad have challenged him to grow in that space. And whatnot. And that's happened pretty much from the
But
age
you've
of
also
9.
given him perimeters, probably, you know, of what's acceptable and what's
Right.
not acceptable. I'm finding a lot of parents these days just want to be the friend of their kids.
Yeah. And when
And I'm going, well, you can't do that because you have to say to your child, okay, mate, you've done this. I'm really not happy about it, and it's not okay.
yeah.
And as a friend, you can't say those things.
Well, what I
You have to
find
be
is in this
more of a
position is
parent.
this is the difference between creating an environment of leadership versus creating a difference of an environment micromanagement. And
Yes,
and
exactly.
so micromanagement is control, whereas
Yes.
leadership is freedom. And but leadership has boundaries and it has expectations,
Yes.
it has responsibilities. And I think that's where we've lost a lot of that. We need to come back into that space a bit more as a community, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Let's build our communities.
Mm,
You know, too much of, oh, this is mine, and like, you know, a lot of the teachers that I have that I deal with get threatened by me
mm,
because I go, well, can we try this? And they go, well, what would you know? And I go, well, 30 years of teaching and a degree to start with.
yeah. It's a lot of
You
us
know,
versus
so
them and control versus loss of control, right?
yeah, that's right. And I think we need to get back into the community style nurturing,
Yeah,
quite frankly.
and be about we and us and let's do it together mentality because we can go fast on our own, but we can go a lot further together. And it
Mm,
seems to be that people are scared of doing things together, but it's
mm,
that is a breakdown of the fabric of trust and connection. You know, like what you
yep,
were talking about earlier on, and if we can
yep,
start to, you know, it's the old pendulum swing, right? You know, what's got us here is not going to get us where we need to be, and you know, trying to find that middle ground in this conversation, it's a tricky, you know, dynamic, and it's very complex and it's very messy. But I love the challenge that you're the mission that you're taking on, and I love the fact that you recognize that this is bigger than you, and you need people to partner with you and you know, help
mm.
to facilitate this to be the growth to take transform, you know, our communities from inside out. And essentially, if I had to sum it up, the way that I see the transformation happening is you're helping people to learn how to connect with themselves and
Mm-hmm.
find their, you know, learn how to love themselves, really, their strengths, their warts and all, so then they can go in and lead and connect with others and be a stronger fabric to community, right?
Yeah, but it's not just working with the kids, it's working with the adults because I've had
Yeah.
quite a few parents come to me, and I've done some things with their child just to see where they're at and how it is I can help.
Mm,
And then the child has left the room and I've had a chat with the parent because I don't agree with talking about the child in front of the child.
mm,
And the parent has cried
mm.
because they don't know what to do. You know, kids, when we have a child, doesn't come with a manual.
Yeah.
We have to work it out all ourselves. And that's where I think that fabric of community is so important.
Yeah. Well, we're tribal creatures.
Because the grandparents
Yeah, that's what's
and
going.
the aunts and the uncles, we each have our own separate way and separate idea of doing things. And we
Yeah.
can say, well, this is the way that I've done it. It might help you to do it.
Well, this Facebook
And
Live,
I quite often say to the parents, it's nothing you've done.
yeah,
It's
that's
nothing
it.
you've done, but we could try this, this, and this, see
Yeah.
how it goes.
So
So they don't feel so desperate and on their own.
no, I totally understand. So this Facebook Live's already born from some fruit here. I've got Joanne Cameron saying she needs to reach out and have a connect with you and chat with you as
Right.
part of our Shopley community. She's up in northern New South Wales. She has what she said. So I'd love to team you up with a WA mate of mine who's a school teacher and is working and putting kids first. So this is what we're all about. You know,
That'd be fabulous.
yeah, this is a bit, yeah.
I'd love that.
And Daryl says here, it takes a village to raise a child, and it totally does.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yep.
my wife and I moved away from our core family roots, you know, in central New South Wales to Tasmania. And we chose to do that. And it was healthy to do that in the long run. But in the short term, it was very lonely and isolating because
Mm.
we didn't have anybody, the mum and dad and, you know, the aunts and uncles there to support us. We had to do it on our own. And we've, you know, we've created family here in Tasmania and we've also got our family to support us now. But it's very hard to, and I can understand why, especially single parents, do use the phone and whatnot because they're only going into survival mode themselves,
That's right.
and they're
Exactly
looking for
right.
that escape of the day-to-day burdens. But
Yep.
if we can, you know, this is the mission that you're on, right? If we can help create connected communities, supportive communities that puts the kids first, the future generation aren't going to have the same challenges that we've got today, because they'll be more holistic and more, I don't know what the words I'm looking for, more well-rounded, in that space, to be able to become more effective
Won't be
leaders.
afraid to say to their neighbour or something, oh, this is happening, can you help me?
Yeah, because they've
Because
got the
even
strength.
even in some communities, you're afraid to talk to your neighbour,
I
or
know,
your
right?
neighbour's dog's barking and you're afraid to go and talk to them because you don't know the reaction you're going to get.
Yeah, we're scared to deal with
I want to
conflict.
try and nurture a change in that, not only for the children and the way that they learn, and making learning fun and empowering for them, and making it mean something for them, but also the family side, and helping
Yeah,
those parents that are desperate for help,
yeah.
that really need the help.
And Daryl and Joanne and everybody else who's watching us live, and checking out the replay later on, we would love to invite you to a call that we're hosting on Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Sydney time. So this is your official invite to come and learn and do a deeper dive with what Zoe's doing with her mission, and the vision, and the mechanics of behind it all, and how it's all been implemented. And we love to invite you along to that call. It's also a chance to win. Zoe's got a bit of a giveaway competition going at the moment, where you can hear about her journey, of course, and how you can support the kids on this journey and win one of the $560 discovery sessions that she's giving away. Just because Zoe's down here in Tasmania doesn't mean that she can't connect with you in WA or Northern Territory or Sydney or wherever you may be. We've got this beautiful thing called Zoom. And I love to give you two links here right now, whilst we're talking about this. So here's the link for the competition that you can enter to get in and make sure you've got your seat there. So you'll see that in the comments below. And also, whilst I'm here, come along to our call on Thursday night here to come and do a deeper dive with myself and Zoe and the team, to be able to really get understanding of how learning boosters, and how you could potentially be a part of this journey with us, because we're also partnered with a company called Shopley. Shopley is an affiliate marketing opportunity. A community is the word I'm looking for. And so they've got vendors like myself and Zoe on there. I'm a vendor. Zoe's a vendor on there. And then we have our community, a community of affiliates, ambassadors, who want to come and support XYZ product or service or company. And because you're sharing the word, the good news out there with your community, you can get rewarded and incentivized for that referral. This is incentivized referral marketing at its purest form. So this is part of what we're doing here, is we're officially launching Zoe and Learning Boosters on Shopley on Thursday night. We would love for you to come join us on this community connection call and learn how you could potentially become an affiliate for Learning Boosters through Shopley. But also, if what Zoe's message has spoken to your heart today, and you're in a position where you can be probably a facilitator of this conversation, to help Zoe's mission go wider and broader, across the globe, across the country, we would love to hear from you. Please reach out to Zoe and just send her a DM, or reach out to me personally if you can't do that, and I'll connect you with Zoe and we can explore what that conversation looks like. We're in early days of this.
Add to that, sorry, Jeff, to interrupt.
Yeah, you're right.
I have a Learning Boosters community on Facebook. If people have any questions, they can put in an anonymous question. I'm happy to answer any questions or have a chat with them. I have a free discovery call, which they will find on my website as well. But please join us on the Learning Boosters community. It's a safe space if you have a question or anything, or you'd like to contact me.
That's a really great point, Zoe, and I'll just grab the link to that now and put that in the comments as well. So jump on that and join Zoe's Learning Boosters community there as well. And we would love to just go on this journey with you. This is just basically a quick interview just to introduce Zoe to our Laptop Lifestyle Dads community here and beyond. But it's an opportunity now to go deeper into the conversation, to create a stronger connection with Zoe and myself, to be able to help you support that and see what it looks like. Just explore it. But at the very least, we'd love to invite you to our call on Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Sydney time. and love to see you there. We'll be sending this out to all of our friends and family and everybody in between to be able to help you to get the word out there. And we just ask, if this has spoken to your heart, please share it. Invite your people to come to this call and help us to spread this good news. So Zoe, thank you very much for the opportunity here just to get on and do a bit of an interview with you. And it's a really great opportunity just to do a bit of a deeper dive with, your heart, your mission and vision. And this is what I love doing. I love helping people find their voice and elevating their voice and spreading that out to the world, because this is how I believe that we become hero makers, not just heroes. And this is how we do transform the world into a better place for our kids and a better legacy for our kids. So I really appreciate you, and looking forward to the next one together.
Thank you very much.
Cool. All right, guys, we'll call it then there. And thank you very much for your time. Bye for now.